What's up, everyone? So today we have a question from, I want to say, Matteo Carlos. Sorry if I butchered your first name. Said, I'm not really new to cryptocurrency trading, but I had a big loss trading on my own. Please, what is the best way to make a profit without losing much? I don't know. You tell me, because I want to know too. So I really, I'm not trying to make light of your question, but I think when I made money doing day trading with crypto when I was a Darknet vendor, it was so much easier because you had a lot less people doing it, and you could look at 4 or 5 different currencies, and because you're working with these currencies every day, no matter what, this is your 9 to 5. You're seeing the prices and you're kind of learning the understanding between if the price of this one's affected, how's this one going to be affected? And because you understand this, you know what's going to happen next sometimes with other currencies. And I don't trade crypto anymore, just because it's like, it's a lot harder too. I don't have the time for it. I have YouTube videos to make, a 9 to 5 to work, and family, and a bunch of other projects that I got going on. Like some of the ways that I have heard that people do make money in kind of a more automated sense is like the Pionex bots, which I think if I was going to get back into messing with crypto, I think I would absolutely do. I was gonna try it right before Bitcoin crashed this last time. Then it crashed, and we went into the crypto winter, which is ironic because it seems to happen like every couple of years. There seems to be a crypto winter, and then the market becomes a bear market again for a while. But like, your guess is as good as mine. If someone put a gun to my head and said, "Hey, how are you going to invest in Bitcoin? Or are you going to invest in crypto? You invest in XMR? How are you going to do it right now?" And I would be like, well, one thing we always know is that the market's always volatile, right? So I would try to trade on volatility. And I noticed like a lot of the bots that are on Pionex give you the ability to do that. And they're not sponsoring this. It's like, nothing along those lines. But I think that's what I would do. And it's nice because it's a set it and forget it kind of thing, from what I saw when I looked into them. But then there's like the whole strategy. Like you have to pick a strategy. There's different bots. You have to pick a strategy behind it. So like, even that's like, but I mean, honestly, your best bet, if you have the discipline, is to have it as a long-term investment strategy where if you're going to get Bitcoin, or you're going to get XMR, or you're going to get whatever, you get it and you lock it down. That's the way that like I would invest personally. I would get it and I wouldn't even look at it for 5 years. And obviously, like if you're holding BTC, and it's like, you bought it, say at $5,000, and you see the Bitcoin price, and like say it shoots up to 250,000, and like in that case, I think what I would do is I would pull out all my crypto. I would pull out my Bitcoin. I would take the 50K. I'd take the 250K. I'd break it into 50K, and I would go buy a bunch of different multifamily houses and rent them all out. That's what I would do. My first house that I bought was actually this one that I'm in right now. And I pay no mortgage on it, right? Because I have tenants, which I do. I pay it's like $150 mortgage basically after, and that's like taxes, everything all said and done. When I move out of this house, then I'll make about $2,000 a month from it. So like, I would much rather have 5 different properties that are all making me $2,000 a month, than mess with Bitcoin. Just it's, I don't know if I could, I got a lot of depreciation when it comes to taxes. There's a lot of advantages there. It's a steady income, and I like it a lot better. I get one thing I don't. I have a 9 to 5 right now, and it kills me because it's like, you go from making a lot of money to not. It's like imagine, all of you out there right now, whatever you're getting paid per hour, imagine going to work for like $1 an hour, and like that's kind of the best example I can give. It's like it's such a crazy change, making like you're making $25,000 every 3 days. And, now, like in my current 9 to 5, I make like $18 an hour. So that's a significant drop, then I do like my federal prison consulting and make about $100 an hour with that, but I don't do anything there. That's just the artificial prices that I set, because I end up getting on the phone with people, and like I'm just I end up just telling them, what to expect. I feel bad charging them because I know what they're about to go through. So I've come to the realization that I'm a really bad federal prison consultant as far as like charging people for it. I'd much rather just give some. And that's why I put a lot more effort into like things like this, making YouTube videos, because I can just give advice here for free. I don't have to be like, you have to give me your credit card or you have to write me a check, or I'm just not good at that. And that's why I like, selling drugs on the Darknet, was because, I don't have to beat anyone up or like, intimidate anyone, or, you know what I mean? I might look like a biker and look like, but like, that's one of the things that's great about me, is because like, I'm like a porcupine, where like I walk down the street and you'll see the shaved head and the beard and the tattoos, and like, I want to talk to that guy, that's awesome, because I'm an introvert and I don't want to talk to them, because most likely they're probably going to want to, talk about, these leftists suck, these right wingers suck, or like, blue and red. I'm like, it's all tribal warfare. It's a waste of time, like it's, Roman bread and circus, and I'm just not down for the tribalism or, the waste of time, debates about politics that are set up to distract us from the realities of the world. I love cryptocurrency, and I think people should trade cryptocurrency because at the end of the day, it gives them a lot of freedom. To trade crypto, you don't have to have a day trader account with a $50,000 minimum. You do whatever you want. You don't, if you're day trading, like, stocks, everything that you've traded and every penny you've made is documented. With crypto, it's not, you know what I mean? Which is, kind of great, because at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to, what do you want to claim for capital gains? And if you have it on Coinbase, it's they know exactly how much you made. I hate Coinbase. If you day trade, please don't use Coinbase. Please don't use Coinbase, even if you're not day trading. No matter what, like, just don't use Coinbase. Thank you guys for watching for this long and listening to me rant about things that have absolutely nothing to do with this. And sorry I got total sidetracked on your question, but I hope I answered it. And I'll see you guys in the next video.